Doing this first cooking video is a dream come true. This is my first love, is cooking.
Oh, it tasted awful. Stop what you're doing right now.
Nice and yummy.
I wish you could smell this.
Some grits. Oh, it's getting good now. Oh my word. Whoa, driving me crazy.
Today is going to be such a fun day. My mom and I are filming a Southern cooking vlog. So this video is all going to be a cooking video with my mom, Gigi, and I'm really excited for it. I just dropped Hendrix off to daycare. It was kind of a hectic morning, but that's behind me. And let's get to it.
Hi, welcome to Chloe and Gigi's first cooking show. You know why these are here? Because Gigi's so stupid. She runs through this. I've busted the screen out so many times because I'm walking and I plow through the door. So I have my little earrings hanging here so I know the screen's shut.
That's so innovative.
Yeah, right.
I'm so excited to do this cooking segment with my mom. I love to cook, mainly because I love to eat, and if you love to eat, I feel like you have to know how to cook because you can't just eat out all the time.
How far along are you? Isn't that such a... How far along are you?
Why do people say that?
But it's so funny. How far along are you? I'm really far along. When's baby due?
Because if you guys didn't know, I am 5 months pregnant. So that's how far along I am.
You have that camera going right now?
Sure do, honey boo-boo. If you've been watching my channel, Chloe Simone Says, and you've watched my sister's channel, Lily's Life, you probably know my mom or me. I'm Chloe. My mom is also known as Gigi, and my mom and I do a live show every Tuesday and Thursday at around 2 in the afternoon. So if you like what you see here, you should watch our live show and subscribe to my channel, Chloe Simone Says. Follow me on Instagram, Chloe Simone Says. And if you like what I am wearing or what my mom is wearing, you can go to shopgraceandjoy.com and see what we have on our Instagram at shopgraceandjoy. So Mom, what are you cooking today?
I am cooking Southern cheese grits and biscuits and Southern bacon tomato gravy. All of the ingredients were sent to me by Francie in Lexington. She's in Columbia, South Carolina, but all these ingredients were just gifted to me from Francie. So I'm dedicating this video to Francie and in honor of my mother, who was a wonderful Southern cook. And every Sunday, my dad would make grits and my mother would make the gravy, and we would eat grits, gravy, and tomato gravy. It's with bacon, and I'm also going to show you how to turn that tomato gravy into a whole new dish at the end of the video. So don't turn off until the end, because I believe in reworking the food and making a whole new dish out of it, and I'm going to show you how to do that too at the end of the video.
I cannot wait. I brought my appetite this morning.
And everything came from Four Oaks Farm in Lexington, South Carolina, and oddly, that's a town my mother lived in as a child. So I'm going back to my roots. I'm not a pure Southern cook because I'm a French trained chef, but I'm going to do Southern cooking with a twist. So the Southern Comfort Breakfast with a twist is coming up, so stay tuned.
Mom, did your mom, my grandparents, did they always live in South Carolina?
No, my dad is from Louisiana and my mother was from South Carolina. And
But where were her parents from?
South Carolina.
Oh, so they were always from.
Yeah, but they didn't always live there because my dad was in the military and they moved around a lot. So that's why I don't have the real Southern accent, only a hint of one from my mom and my dad, but they were very Southern people. I mean, my dad and mom were so Southern, they'd say, "Susie, what you doing?" It was so cute. Susie, that's what I was called. Let's get on and let's start cooking. Okay, I'm starting out by showing you I grated about 2 cups of sharp white cheddar cheese. We're not going to show every boring step. We're going to work it in because you know how to boil water and you know how to cut butter. But I grated white sharp cheddar cheese for the grits. So now we're going to get the grits ready and show you our ingredients.
We don't want to be boring.
Let's just start cooking. The grits are from Four Oaks Farm, and they're a stone ground grit. They're not an instant grit, which I hate, and living up here in Idaho, I'm really excited about this. So I'm gonna get the water going and put all my ingredients together. So here we go. This is about 3 cups of sharp cheddar cheese, and like I said, I like my grits really cheesy. So cheesy, I'm spilling over the bowl. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna be putting things away as I work here. I am a very messy cook. I don't mean to be, but when you're making a dish, everything is timed. And when you work in a professional kitchen like I did, you have a sous chef or an assistant. And I had that for many years.
I'm the sous chef, the assistant chef, and the dishwasher today, which is perfect because I'll get to eat later.
I am opening up a can of Marzano organic whole tomatoes. I like the whole tomatoes better than chopped tomatoes in this gravy because the chopped tomatoes don't have as much flavor in my opinion. So I'm just prepping this because I didn't get it ready before Chloe came. And I'm going to take my little wand that I use and puree it first because this gravy is going to be a smooth bacon tomato gravy to start with, and then I'm turning it into something else at the very end of the video.
So yesterday, Hendrix, myself, and my mom, we all went out to my mom's garden and we picked all of these tomatoes. So these are fresh from the garden.
I poured the tomatoes into this big glass mixing dish and I'm going to puree them, and I like to use every ounce of my ingredients. I'm going to rinse this with a little cold water. That way we get a little more juice. So I'm going to puree the whole organic tomatoes. You don't have to use whole tomatoes. You can use any canned tomato that's in your kitchen. I'm going to punch it up with some fresh tomatoes from my garden, but because I like a smooth, more sophisticated gravy or sauce, I'm going to puree these before I start. And let's just pray I don't splash this juice everywhere. I love this little machine. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. The trick is you cannot lift it up while it's pureeing. You got to keep it in that juice, because if you don't, it's going to splatter everywhere, which I have had happen. But I like the whole tomatoes because I think they have more flavor than just the regular chopped. I think I've got this done now. And see, I keep it down in the liquid. Okay, there we go. That's done. Well, a little bit more because I really like it smooth. So just so you all know, doing this first cooking video is a dream come true for me because I cooked professionally since the age of 20. I owned a restaurant in Annapolis, Maryland, and I was a very good cook. I'm maybe a little weak on not technique, but I haven't cooked professionally in a number of years. But you don't lose it, you just know how to cook. And I always wanted to do something like this. So this is really fun for me, even though I run the other business full time. This is a fun day to do this cooking, and we're gonna do it again. So puree your tomatoes, and I'm gonna try to keep things clean and neat as I go. I'm gonna unplug it so I don't make some other crazy mess here. Okay, so that's gonna go in my sink. So this is getting things ready for the tomato gravy, but I think we're gonna go ahead and start with the grits, and this is the grits that we're using. They're from Four Oaks Farm, compliments of Francie, who sent these to me. And that's what inspired me to do the cooking show with Chloe, because Francie sent me all of these ingredients. She's so sweet. She's a YouTube, I guess, fan. I don't know. But what I'm going to do is get the milk and the water going. So I have 2 cups of water and 2 cups of milk. So let me say this. With grits, you can use 4 cups of water. You can use all milk. You can use milk and heavy cream. You can use water and chicken stock. It depends on the flavor you want. I want a creamier grit this time. I don't normally cook mine with milk, but I am today. And this is going to take 20 to 30 minutes to cook because it's a stone ground. And there's no special trick. If it gets too thick, add more water. If it's too thin, add a little bit more grits. I'm going to season the water with salt, and I season to my taste. So I have a theory in cooking that less is more. Don't over salt in the beginning because you can't take it out.
But another thing about grits is you can store them in your refrigerator for a couple days,
and then
right?
you can refry them.
Okay, I was unsure about that, but that's what I did 3 days ago,
Sure,
and they
you
lasted 2 days, and they were fine.
Yep. So I have 2 cups of water, 2 cups of milk, and let's follow us over to the stove. Milk. Now I have a KitchenAid electric stove, and I can't stand it. But it's what I have, and it's what I have to use. So there is the milk and water, and I am a very fussy salt person. I'm as fussy as I can be about salt, and I can't find my little bamboo salt shaker. I'll find it in a minute. Got my tag. That's all right, it's for sale. Where's my bamboo salt thing? Here it is. So one of the things I'm most fussy about is salt. I use 3 different kinds of salt. I use kosher, I use Maldon sea flake salt, which I love, and I also use a gray French sea salt, which I love. So right now I'm just putting 3 nice pinches of kosher salt, not too much, because you can always add, but you can't take away. And so I know that's about right. I don't have any particular measurements with seasoning. You have to decide that, but less is more. If you don't want it real salty, just a pinch or 2. But these are 3 pinches of not very much salt. And I know it's gonna need more. So now I'm doing 1 full cup, a little slightly overflowing, into the cold water. Some people cook it in hot liquid. I don't think it's important at all. And in fact, when you cook from cold to hot, it gets creamier. Like if you're making oatmeal. So we're gonna just whisk this around. I have to keep an eye on it. My stove is a very fussy little thing. This is a stone ground grits with salt, and I've used kosher salt in the water. You really do need to salt your grits before you cook them, and then I'll add more salt at the end. So this is milk, water, and grits. 4 cups of liquid, 1 cup of grits. If it's too thick, add a little more liquid. If it's too thin, add a little more grits. Most things in cooking, in my opinion, can be adjusted at the end. I'd rather put less of something because you can always add, but you can't take it away. That was a grits. She put too much salt in the beginning. And I'm notorious for making up recipes and not being able to tell people what I made, because I cook as I go, and it always turns out people love to come to my house to eat because I like to cook. And even in cakes, you can follow the recipe pretty exact, and you can vary it a little teeny bit, and it isn't going to make that much of a difference. A little bit of difference, but it'll still be good. This is the 4 Oaks Farm Country Store Biscuit Mix. Now, for the sake of honesty, I've never used a biscuit mix. I've never used any mix. I've never used bottle dressing. Only bottle dressing that comes into my house is when I go away and my husband buys all this crap bottle dressing. I make everything from scratch in my house. But I'm going to use this biscuit mix because Francie sent it, and it looks like it's going to be really good. It already has buttermilk and things in it, so all I need to add is butter and milk. So I'm going to start on that while I'm constantly stirring my grits. See, I'm a double dipper here.
But you know, there are some pre-made mixes that are fine, like Jiffy corn mix. I know you've got some of that.
Well, I don't really have any.
Oh yeah, let's see.
No, because I had to throw it all out. It was so old. I threw it all out. I never used it. See?
But Jiffy corn mix is just really cheap. It's normally like 75 cents a box, and it's really easy to make. Also, pancake mix. It doesn't make any sense to like measure out flour and baking soda when you just can use pre-made pancake mix.
Right, so here we go. I'm going to take you over to the biscuit making. This is 2 1/2 cups of biscuit mix from 4 Oaks Farm, and I'm going to get it all measured, and then we're going to roll it out and put it in the oven, let that bake while the cheese grits cook, and then I'm going to go on to the tomato gravy. This meal is something that you could make for football day, like if
that's a good idea.
Football starts at noon out here, or even 10 sometimes because we're a time difference. It's a great meal for that. And then stay tuned to the end because I'm going to turn this southern meal into something else because I'm always reconstituting food. It's something I'm kind of good at. Chloe wants me to do a chopped up with Gigi, so she puts out ingredients and I just have to make it.
No, I think you want to.
Well, you mentioned it at one time.
You mentioned
You did too. My sister mentions it all the time. Beverly, hey Bev. She goes, Susie, you should be on
Okay,
Chopped.
I'm gonna find really obscure ingredients.
No, don't
and
put me under that kind of
we'll
pressure.
I'm gonna do pineapple.
Don't give me anything with Cheez-Its in it.
Cheese.
No, they do that on the. I used to love to watch that show because it's really interesting to see what these creative people do.
No, but actually with Cheez-Its, you could make cookies with Cheez-Its, and they're really. I've had
We're gonna keep watching the grits stirring over here. Okay. So years ago, when I owned my restaurant, I was in Annapolis, Maryland, and then I had a catering company, and I cooked for a lot of very famous people in my day. I don't need to name who.
Name them.
No, I don't. No, I don't
name
like
them all.
A lot of people you would know. Believe me, you would know. because they were very high up in politics.
Ooh.
And that was kind of my specialty. I was a young girl like Chloe's age. and-
Name them.
No.
Drop them.
No.
Drop
Anyway,
those names.
that was a different life. And let me tell you, if you've ever been a big caterer like I was, that's work. It makes my store work look like a breeze.
One time she did a catering job for a historical association, and Mom had to make 500 historically accurate crackers.
Yes, I did.
That must have been so hard.
No, I had a little crew that came in, and I used the Hammond Harwood cookbook in Annapolis, Maryland. I used all the recipes out of that, and that was an interesting time because I have so many stories. I don't know why I have so many stories. It's really boiling now, and so I have to keep whisking so it doesn't stick. And these are stone ground grits, which take a lot longer to cook than what I can get up here. I do order specialty grits, but now that I have Four Oaks Farms, I will order from them.
Did you rinse these grits beforehand?
No, I never.
Sometimes the recipe says to rinse them.
I know, but I've never rinsed grits. I do rinse my rice sometimes because I like to take some of the starch out of the rice so it's not so sticky. But if you saute your rice, it's not sticky. I almost always make we're going to do some one dish meals with rice. I'm really good at that.
One dish wonders.
Because, if you're a busy mom or a busy working mother like me or a person like me, it's
Like
so
me.
nice, to be able to put everything in one dish and make it. And I'm pretty creative at putting things together without...
You're very creative.
Chloe's a good cook, too. She makes a wonderful chocolate chip cookie recipe with melted brown butter. See, and that maybe will do it. But I'm going to do the next one, if I can get to it, is going to be my French butter almond cake. It's not Southern, but it's some kind of good. I made it 40 years. I don't know, that shows how old I am.
Really good.
It's really good.
Oh, another thing that is actually not really worth making from scratch nowadays is brownies, because you can buy a Ghirardelli brownie mix. No, a
I don't like
Ghirardelli.
it. I still taste
I'm
it.
telling you, a Ghirardelli. No,
Here
you don't.
we
A
go,
Ghirardelli.
mother and daughter, we're gonna fight.
A Ghirardelli brownie mix is just
I
as
still
good.
taste that flavor in it, though.
No, you won't. Okay.
I do. I have a strong
Let's
palate.
get her. Let's get her.
Whew, I'm hot now. Okay, Chloe, you stir because I've got to go do something else.
Splashing. Mama. I think it needs to be turned down.
It's as low as it'll go. It's on low. I've been stirring and whisking the whole time and keeping an eye on it. I didn't put a timer on it because I'll know when they're done. And then I'm going to turn it down really low and put a lid on it. And then I'm going to put the white sharp cheddar. And I like my grits with a lot of pepper. And I'm going to taste it before I put any more salt in.
Do you use black pepper or white pepper?
Black. I like white pepper on some things, but on grits I like black pepper. I made some grits. Oh, it's some grits. Oh, it's some grits. Oh, it's splattered. It's hot as heck. Because see, I can't get the stove to regulate because it's electric. See? We're getting close now. Not quite yet. Nice and thick.
One of my favorite dishes, talking about repurposing food, is shrimp and grits.
Oh, I can do that.
Freaking love
Yes. But you
shrimp
have
and
to make good shrimp and grits. You have to have a good chicken broth. A brown chicken broth is
Yeah.
best. After you sear your shrimp, you deglaze it with a dark, rich brown chicken broth.
Especially if you put like a little bit of bacon in it.
Okay, I got to tell you a funny story because I can't do a video without telling a story. Okay, so I used to have this catering company in Annapolis, and I had a lot of big jobs. I was booked all the time. I worked really hard. Every weekend I had weddings. And so I booked this event, and they told me it was going to be 700 people. And I wrote the contract for 700 people. And
So many people.
It's a
That's
lot.
more people. That's more triple the amount of people I had in my high school.
yeah, it was 700 people. And I cooked for 700 people. And there was a lot left over. I gave them all the leftovers, and they put a deposit, and at the end of the event, they were going to pay me. And it was through a bank. So I went to get
They had money.
I went to get my final payment, and the guy goes, well, we only had 500 people come. I go, well, you booked me for 700 people, and I cooked for 700 people, and I need my money. I was a young mother that was self-supporting. I really supported
Single mom of 3.
Well, at that time I wasn't single, but I was the
Well,
one
you were
that
basically
worked.
single,
I was
so.
the working mom. And he didn't want to pay me, and I was nervy, but I was a shy person. I was kind of scared, but I really needed the money for my kids. And I said, Well, if you don't pay me, I'm going to sit right in this lobby and I'm not leaving until you do. So you have a contract with me, you signed it, and I need the money. So I'm just going to sit here. And this was before there was internet and phones. I just sat down in the lobby and I didn't move for about 3 hours and he came out and paid me.
Good for you.
But, you know.
Men are always trying to take advantage of women.
It wasn't. They made a mistake. And then the person that did the contract got upset. But it was not my fault. They contracted for 700 people. I provided and fulfilled my contract for 700 people, and they didn't want to pay me. And look, they're almost done. They're getting there. And now I can take this out. I'm going to turn it off and let it sit. It's done now. It's nice and creamy and rich. I'm going to keep letting it simmer a teeny bit. Now the cheese grits are done. They've got I put 2 little pinches of pepper. Chloe, you want to be my taster? I believe in tasting everything. I believe that these are going to need a little bit more salt because I did not put a lot in. And so now we'll probably do some extra salt. I put about a tablespoon of butter, not a lot, but I believe in flavor. And so to get it to be really good flavor, it's got a lot of cheese. It's got at least 2 cups of cheese and a little bit of butter.
Butter is so good.
Well, wait until you taste my butter tomato sauce I'll make for you one day. I taught my sister how to make it, and now she and her husband are obsessed with it. I believe in simple ingredients. I don't believe in overdoing it. So this is milk and water, 4-to-1 to grits. So milk and water, 4-to-1 to grits. A little pinch or 2 of pepper. I think I'll do a little bit more because I like it peppery. And then it's got 2 cups or more of white sharp cheddar. You can put cheese into your tasting. You can put a little bit, or you can put a lot like me. I like it cheesy because plain old grits are a little bit plain. So there you go. Now Chloe, show them the cheese grits. I've spattered a little bit. It's really hot. You blow on it. I'm sure that this is really good. I've made grits for 45 years, so not hard. It's really hot. Salt.
I think it could use a little bit of salt, but it's really, really good. It's really good.
It's so good.
It's super good.
Now wait until you see. This is just the beginning. So it's going to be finished with biscuits and southern bacon tomato gravy.
It's really good.
Thank you, Francie. The grits are so
This
good.
is making our day.
Yes, indeed.
This is making the baby in my belly happy.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to, I think I'll do the tomato gravy, or should I do the biscuits next? The biscuits are going to take 20. It doesn't matter because we can put it
Let's
all.
do the biscuits first.
Okay, we're going to do the biscuits next. 2.5 cups of biscuit mix. Now this is going to be enough to feed an army. So I might take this to the store to my staff, but they're not Southerners. I don't know if they'll eat it. They might eat it. Okay, that's about 2.5. That's good enough.
I'll eat it.
3 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to cut it in 1. You know, I don't totally measure. That's about 3 tablespoons. It doesn't matter. Or a little bit less isn't going to make a big difference. I just have cooked so long and so many times and so much, whatever. I can just throw things together and I'm good. But if you are not competent in that or confident, just follow exactly. So this calls for 2 1/2 cups of mix. 2.5 cups of mix, and it wants you to cut it in. Here's my pastry cutter. So we're cutting the pastry in. This is how I make pie crust too. I make really good pie crust. Not hard. I've made it my whole life, and I just like doing this. And I'm cutting the butter into the mix, so the flour's all coated nice. The reason why I like to make candles in the store because it's kind of like cooking, and so I've learned the art of candle making. I make beautiful candles.
That'll be another video.
Yeah, we'll do that, but that'll be done in the store. I used to make the candles here in my kitchen. It would take up the entire house. I'd have candles on every table, wax everywhere, and it was a very strong aroma.
It was so cute. She would get the grandkids, to put the wicks.
They did the wicking,
They
and
have
I did
little
the
hands.
waxing.
They could
They
put the
were really
wicks.
good at it. They were quite good at it. I cut the butter all into the biscuit mix. And now I'm going to put 2/3 cups, so it was 2.5 cups of biscuit mix by 4 Oaks Farm, and 3 tablespoons of butter approximately, and 2/3 cup of milk. But let me give you a piece of advice. less is more. It calls for 2/3, but I'm only going to put a half, and then I'm going to add more if I need it, because I don't want to overdo it. Sometimes recipes aren't exactly right, so instead of putting the full 2/3 in, I'm only going to put a half, and then I'll add more if I need it. I'm just swinging this biscuit round and round and round. See, I'm cutting it all in. And I do think it needs more milk, so I'm going to put a little bit more in. I don't want it to be too sticky, because then you can't roll it. Yeah, see, it's a little sticky. That's what I was afraid of. That's okay, because I can add a little more mix. That's all you have to do. Little sticky, add a little more mix. Too dry, add a little more of the liquid. So I'm just adding a little bit. And then we're going to roll this out and put it in the oven. My hands are very clean. I've washed them. I always wash my hands when I cook. We're not going to pound it out. We're just going to gently mix it together. I still feel like it needs a little more mix because 2/3 of the cup felt a little bit liquidy, and it was. So I'm going to add a little bit more because we want to roll our biscuit dough. Add a little bit more in here.
One of the things that I really like to do is use like a boxed mix, like something like this, and then jazz it up. Like there's so much you can add to like Jiffy corn mix from like canned corn, sour cream that make it taste so much better, that save you time and money.
So I worked the dough a little bit. I don't want to overwork it because you don't want to stretch it out too much. It's ready to roll, and I'm going to show you probably the world's largest rolling pin. It's coming up. I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the biscuit mix here. I could just get regular flour, but this is good enough. This is what I actually should have done a little bit different than that. So here we go. This is probably the oldest thing in my house besides me and my husband. I've had this for years and years and years, and look at this baby. And this shows I was a cook right here. This big thing right here. My rolling pin is very old, and I love it. Pat it down a little. I'm going to roll it out just a bit. I don't know how many biscuits this will make because I haven't used it before, but I think it's going to be good. I don't want to roll it too thin because I want a big, fluffy, buttery biscuit. And look at that. There you go. I'm not rolling it too thin.
If there was an intruder, I'd grab this. It is so heavy. You could do like, how much did this thing weighs like
10, 15 pounds?
No, it does not weigh.
I don't know. Now look, wait a minute, ladies. Beverly, my sister, Mama's black cast iron skillet. This is for my mother who passed away a few years ago. She's from South Carolina, and this was her cast iron skillet. My goodness, this has had a lot of cooking in it. I'm going to put a little bit of butter on the bottom of it.
Is there a brand?
No, I don't know.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's really old, probably 70 years old. I'm buttering this just to make sure the biscuits don't stick. They shouldn't stick anyway, but I haven't used this in a long, long time, and this is a new biscuit recipe. So I'm going to smear the butter on really light. I don't want it too stuffed, and I'm actually even going to take a paper towel and wipe it off. I can't find my biscuit cutter, so I'm going to use a glass. And this biscuit, ooh, it's water in it.
Don't you want the biscuits to touch a little bit so it helps the biscuits climb?
Yes, you could, but these are going to climb.
No, you want them to touch a little bit.
Oh, well, she knows something I don't know, but I don't have enough biscuits.
So if you just make them touch on the edges, that'll help them get higher and fluffier.
Now, y'all remember, I've never used this biscuit mix before. And it was gifted to me by Francie, and she's so sweet. And I said, okay, I'll make this.
So see how I made the edges just a little bit touch and help them get fluffier.
Now, some of these are the biscuit scraps. There's no point in wasting anything. So I just put a couple more together. And I have this last little bit. I'll make a little mini one for Hendrix. He gets a little mini Bicky. A little mini Bicky. I'm funny. Whatever. All right, now I think I should butter the tops a little bit.
You should definitely add butter.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You know what we could have done that would have been really good for this? We could have made pimento cheese.
Oh, that's for the next video. Oh, I make good homemade pimento cheese. I grew up eating pimento cheese, but my mother never made it homemade. She just bought it. And I thought that was good until I made it from scratch, and it is good.
Pimento. So if you never had pimento cheese, pimentos are a type of pepper, and
They're just roasted red pepper.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a roasted
And then they're in a jar with some liquid, and you add them to grated cheese, mayonnaise. You can put a little bacon in there, and it makes a fantastic
cream
cheese dip.
mayonnaise, white cheddar cheese, or yellow, whatever. I like my cheese really sharp and strong. And then you can put anything else you want in it, but I keep it very clean. I do like crumbled bacon on the top.
I don't know if this is true, but I feel like pimento cheese is more of like a South Carolina thing than a New Orleans thing, because I went to Charleston, South Carolina, and there was so much pimento cheese.
Yeah, because my mother... See, look, pastry scraper. I love this because it can pull everything right up and you don't have a big mess. Now I'm going to wash my hands and then put this in the oven.
What do you have the oven set to?
450, because
that's really high.
Yeah, biscuits have to bake hot and fast.
And how long are you going to cook them
I
for?
think they go in for 10 or 12 minutes.
Okay, that's not long at all. I'm going to take a bite of these grits. I was going to grab the small spoon, but I grabbed the big spoon. One of my bad habits when I cook is that I use every single utensil in my kitchen. It's so annoying. And then I have by the time it's time to eat, I have no more clean utensils. These are, yeah, they're good thickness.
Any cheesy, whole cheese?
They're so good. You know, I love to dip anything, like pimento cheese, like dipping like these biscuits in the grits. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so good. I cannot wait, y'all.
I cannot wait. I have to taste the grits because I'm really hungry. They're done and ready, and I'm going to see if I want to put more cheese in them. I don't think so, though.
I don't think they need any more cheese. They're really good.
That's so good. Oh, my word. It's really good. Okay, the biscuits are going to come out in, we're still waiting for 3 more minutes. Wow, they're nice and fluffy. This is called the Southern Comfort Breakfast. I think it would just be fabulous for a Sunday brunch football. My husband and I like to watch football in the fall on Sunday. It's just relaxing. But at the end of this video, you need to stay tuned because I'm turning the Southern Comfort Breakfast into another dish, and I want to show you how to do that. I love converting things, and a lot of this stuff today is from my garden and from Four Oaks Farms in Lexington, South Carolina. Really good.
Thank you so much to Grace and Joy for sponsoring this video. Grace and Joy is our clothing business that my mom, Lily, and myself own together. We have 2 physical locations, one in Sandpoint, Idaho, and one in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We also have a growing online presence, shopgraceandjoy.com, but Lily and my mom started our business 10 years ago when they were traveling throughout Thailand and Vietnam, and I came on board in about 2015. So we are a family business. We have our own brand of clothes that we produce, which kind of makes us a little bit of a different type of store. Like my dress that I'm wearing is from our line of clothes. If you watch my sister's videos, a lot of the dresses that she wears are by Grace and Joy. My mom's dress is from another brand that we carry. But yeah, if you're ever in the area, please come visit one of our stores. And if you're not, you can go to shopgraceandjoy.com. But let's get back to these biscuits because I think I'm in charge of them now because my mom's dealing with some business. They're almost done, but not quite. Yeah,
Ooh la la. I should have got my regular hot flash, but did I do that? No.
Careful, Mom, your arm.
I'm okay. Aha, look at that. Biscuits from Four.
Wow. This looks so good.
Now for the good part. I'm going to make tomato bacon gravy the way my mother did with a few little alterations. So this is simple ingredients. It's bacon, a little bit of flour, pureed tomatoes, and salt. But then I'm going to twist it up at the end. So stay tuned and you'll see what I do after we make the Southern Comfort food. I have one other thing I'm going to add in. See ya in a bit. Four Oaks country bacon and Four Oaks country style ham. I'm doing the bacon and the ham together, but I'm taking the ham out for something else. So let's start with the easiest thing to do. And you want a nice smoky bacon because you want the bacon fat to be flavorful. And all I'm going to do is take this bacon, I'm rolling it up, I'm going to go over to the skillet and I'm going to cut it into little pieces. This is easy. Okay, I'm taking the bacon and I'm just cutting it in pieces. This is 3 pieces. I may end up using 4, I don't know yet. I'm going to see how much bacon fat I get. Now, I want to say this very clearly to people. This is not something we eat all the time, but when I cook something good, I want it bacon. I want the real ingredients. I don't want low fat. I don't like low fat food. I eat regular, whole, everything. I eat cream, I eat everything, but I do watch my weight a little bit and I don't eat it all the time. I only eat it on occasion because if I want to cook something good, I want something good. I hardly ever eat hamburgers. I don't eat fast food. I do intermittent fasting when I have enough willpower. Lately, my weakness has been Haagen-Dazs ice cream bars. So there's 3 pieces of bacon, and we're going to render the fat and then take the bacon out. And I'm also going to put some ham in here, but that's for something else at the end. It's not for the gravy. When you're cooking with me, Gigi, I like food with flavor. I don't like bland food. I like food to have a lot of flavor. Salt gives food flavor, but you salt it to your specifications. There is no rule on salt. Except I always say less is more. You can add, but you can't take away. One of my specialties has been I've been able to beautifully flavor food without going over the top. Now, there's 2 things going on here. I'm rendering the bacon, and I'm going to cook this. This is a ham steak, country style ham, and I'm going to cut that and put it on the other side of the skillet because I'm doing 2 things at one time. So this ham is going to be for something else. And the bacon is for the gravy. So why cook things twice? I may as well put it all right in here. And this ham is going to have a lot of flavor. I can tell you right now this ham is going to be good.
Is that the fat back?
No, this is just a country style ham. But you know, Southern cooks, they use fat back. My mother cooked everything in fat back, and she lived to be 92 years old. My dad, 94. So,
What is fat back? Besides deliciousness.
usually it's a smoked, fatty part of a ham, of a pig. I don't know where, it's probably from the back of the pig, that's what they call it, fat back. But I love it. But I don't use it. In France, they have lardon. A lardon is a very smoky, whoa. It's our handyman out there painting. Oh, that scared us. So Chloe showed him what I'm doing here. This is kind of important.
They're getting work done in their house. That was the air compressor.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
I'm rendering the bacon because I need the bacon fat for the gravy. That's what gives it its flavor. But I'm keeping the ham that I cut up separate from the bacon. And I'm only doing this because I don't want to cook in 2 skillets. I want this crispy southern ham to be on the top of my dish at the end. It's going to taste really good. And I can tell you right now, I can see that I'm going to need a little bit more bacon because there's not enough bacon fat coming off of this. I don't need a lot more, but I do need a little bit more.
I wish you could smell this. It smells so flippin' good in here. Where's the smell-o-vision when you need it?
Smell-o-vision. Okay. I'm putting a little bit more bacon because I really need that fat for this sauce. If food doesn't have any flavor, it is not good. So this is getting a little bit soft. I'm turning this crispy ham around. I could use a little bit more, but this will do. I don't eat bacon very much. Because honestly, after it cooks, I can't stand the smell in my house. But I love bacon. Love it. I love any kind of smoky meat. All this fat is coming up, and I'm going to go try to get a lot of crispiness out of the ham, and they're on 2 sides of the skillet for a reason, because I'm lazy and don't want to cook it twice. Usually I have a nice white professional apron, but I couldn't find it. I don't cook much anymore. I got out of cooking because I'm so busy in the stores keeping up with that, but this is my first love, is cooking.
I think you cooked for so long.
Oh my Lord.
With 4 or 5 kids and
professionally and catering in my restaurant. It was a lot of cooking I used to do.
I do love to cook and I love feeding my family. breaking bread together is so important.
I've cooked Thanksgiving for 45 years. Yeah, maybe 48. I don't know, a long time.
I might do Thanksgiving dinner this year, but then I might not.
So pregnant. It's a very hard meal because there's a lot of dishes.
Well, I said earlier, I don't have enough forks.
Well, I have forks. I just bought some. I'm going to give you some of my silver.
And I don't have any glasses.
Well, I can take care of that too. See, the bacon is nice and crisp, really crispy. I'm going to turn this skillet down because I have to. And here we go. I'm trying to get as much flavor out of this bacon as I can get because that's what makes the gravy good. I'm trying to get as much flavor out of this bacon as I can get it because that's what makes the gravy so good. I'm going to take the bacon out and set it over here for later. It smells delicious. And now I'm going to take the ham out. It's going to go in another bowl because that's for something else. And now, you know, my crazy skillet is getting too hot because I have electric. Now I'm going to take this skillet and move it because I can't get that to go down anyway. So here we go. Now I'm putting the ham over here for the most part. They're two different things. Okay, you're going to have to pardon me for a minute. I'm going to have to turn my fan on because this is throwing out a lot of smoke. This is the fun part. The reason why you cook the bacon drippings, bacon gives things flavor. You can make it without bacon drippings, but it won't be as good. But if you're vegetarian, you can do it with butter. I don't know what you do if you're vegan because I can't figure out vegan. I like to eat meat and I like flavor. So we have a little bit of bacon drippings here and I have a little bit of flour. This is 2 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to turn the skillet back on nice and low on my electric stove. And what you want to do when you're making gravy, you don't want lumps. I make wonderful gravy because I usually do a slurry of flour and water and mix it in. But with this gravy, I want to cook the flour and brown it a little bit. So it's going to be like a bacon roux. And this is 2 tablespoons of flour. I don't think I'm going to use this much. I'm only going to do maybe 1.5 there. And this is going to be nice and brown. Actually, I am going to use more because I'm going to need it. And I cook it and I keep stirring it, whisking it, so that there's no lumps. Nobody wants lumps.
Who wants to be lumpy?
Lumpy.
You don't want lumpy legs. You don't want lumpy gravy.
Well, full 2 tablespoons of flour. But I need to tell you what's with 2 tablespoons of flour, and I have my skillet on very low. And you notice I put the flour in a little bit at a time. If you just dump it all in, and if the skillet's too hot, it's going to form little hard flour lumps. You don't want that. So I sprinkle the flour in a little at a time, and I'm cooking it nice and slow. There's still a little bit of bacon drippings in here. So it's ended up being 4 pieces of bacon chopped up, and that's going to go in again later. And I cooked some ham on the side. That's for extra flavor. And I'm cooking the flour. I'm making like a bacon roux. And I think the 2 tablespoons is just enough. And you can see that this roux is not thick. You don't want it to be thick. You don't want to make a thick tomato. No. You want it just to thicken up the sauce a little bit and be smooth.
One thing you cannot do when you make a roux, and Mom, correct me if I am wrong, but you cannot use 2 different types of fat. So you can't use bacon fat and also vegetable oil because they have different burning points. Because I made that mistake one time and it tasted awful.
Well, the other thing you have to be careful with the roux, you should cook it. Well, this is a browner roux because I browned the bacon fat, which is good. But when you're making a roux, you just have to stir a lot. Brown roux is what you use, or a dark roux is what you use for gumbo. That's what gives it its flavor. That's what makes it
making
so
a gumbo.
Good. Okay, so now
and it tasted awful.
Our tomato. These are the tomatoes I pureed earlier. These are a Marzano tomato, whole tomatoes that I pureed. I have fresh tomatoes that I may add in from my garden because I have it. I have my electric oven nice and low because it gets too hot real quick. So now I'm just going to put the tomatoes in, and you can see that here, see how hot this is? And it was on low. Oh my word, driving me crazy. I have to remove it. I've got that almost totally off. I'm just going to stir and whisk up this yummy tomato bacon sauce, gravy, whatever you want to call it. And I'm making it the way my mother used to make it. She might not have pureed the tomatoes, but this is how she made a tomato bacon gravy, usually on Sunday, and my dad would make the grits, and we would, that was often our Sunday breakfast, and we had grits probably 3 or 4 days a week. You know, we're Southerners, you eat your grits.
So, Mom, when you were a child, did you often go back to South Carolina in the summers and stuff?
Yes, we would drive to, well, I grew up, I was in Myrtle Beach. Can you just rinse this and give me some of that? I'm going to take some of that water. No point wasting it. See, I said I don't like to waste. Stir it around and pour it in. And we want to let this simmer a bit to get the flavor through. Let me stick that in the sink over there. Yes, my dad was in the Air Force, and I grew up for a while at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base. My mother grew up, well, she lived in Florence. I think she actually grew up in Lexington, South Carolina, because I seem to remember that. She was one of 14 children. She was the 13th, and she was the last one to pass away.
14 children.
My mother.
When did your grandmother have her first child? Probably really young.
That
right?
I don't know. She was an orphan. My grandmother was, and she was taken in by a wealthy doctor, I think in Georgia, and then they put her to work. They just got her to make her work, and then she married and moved out. So. But by the time I used to go spend summers sometimes with my grandmother.
Name?
Maudie May. Maud.
Her name is Maud.
Actually, that's a really pretty name. Maud.
Her name is May.
When I was younger, I thought, oh, Maud, but that's a French name. Her name is Maud.
Pretty.
That's what you could name your baby if it's a girl. Maud. That's a Maud Ward. That's funny. Maud. But Maud's a pretty name. Maud Adams, a very famous actress. Remember what I said, less is more. You can always add, you can't take away.
So your grandparents, they were soybean farmers.
They were just farmers.
They were sharecroppers.
Yes, they were poor.
What does that mean, sharecroppers?
They
You didn't
had
own the land?
that they would farm for the owner of the land and then I think split some of the money. All right, let me show you what my favorite salts are. I love this salt. This is a finishing salt.
Ooh.
Whoa. It's a finishing salt. Yes, it definitely needs salt and pepper. Where is my little salt thing? I'm just showing you this. This is Celtic sea salt, and it's got 83 different kinds of minerals in it. It's a fabulous salt, and it's really good to finish your food with it. I don't put it in water. It's kind of expensive, but I'm a salt snob. I will admit that I'm a salt snob. I like this, and I like Maldon salt. I like kosher. I'm not too big a fan of pink sea salt because I don't think it has enough oomph to it. But you choose what salt you like, but I'm a big salt person. I don't over salt things at all, but you have to have a little salt to flavor. See, I just did a pinch, not much, just a pinch.
Your mom, my grandmother, because her parents were farmers, she had to work on the farm at a really young age,
Yes, yes, they were very poor. They grew up very poor. But my grandmother on my mother's side had, I think they had 8 boys and 7 girls, something like that. And every single one of my uncles went on to either be farmers or successful business people. 2 were Methodist ministers. Most of them had a short career in the military, as did many people back then because of World War II. My own dad is from Monroe, Louisiana. And when he was 16, he took a bus to New Orleans, lied about his age, joined up at the very tail end of World War II. And 3 months later was a gunnery person on a carrier ship or something in the South Pacific at age 17. Then he came back after that and re-upped into the Air Force. So he spent 24 years in the military.
17, could you imagine?
Hold on, I'm still tasting because I don't have enough.
Oh my God.
This is just popping away because this skillet, this thing just doesn't want to cool down. It's getting good now. Now, what we're going to do, we have a couple things we're going to do. We're going to let it cook a little bit more.
I think it needs more salt, but there is salt in this.
Yeah, but you've got to have the right.
But you don't want to put too much, because you have to take into consideration the salt in the...
There and in there. And all this is going to be back into this. So next, this is our tomato gravy. And I'm going to keep letting it simmer because it needs to cook a little bit longer to really get the flavors through. Maybe about 15 or 20 minutes. You could use it right away, but it tastes better after it simmers. And if you've been watching me do this, I'm only putting a little teeny bit at a time. This salt is very strong. It's very salty, but that's what makes it good. And you don't use a lot. I use it mainly to finish a dish or to sprinkle on the top of my food. Go over there and get me the Maldon salt thing. We're almost done with this portion, so we've now made cheese grits, biscuits from 4 Oaks Farms, and this is the finishing portion of our Southern Comfort breakfast. And then I'm going to do something different with this. So you're going to really like the next phase. Don't go away because I'm going to teach you how to turn this dish into something else.
I don't know.
green thing right there. The green bucket. So I'm going to show you the sauce that I love the most in the whole world is this and Maldon. These are more like finishing salts. They really bring out the flavor of the food. And I'm not heavy on salt really at all. I just do a sprinkle, and then I taste, and then I do a sprinkle. But I do like salt a lot. Okay, I'm going to taste it one more time. I'm saving that because if I put the bacon in now, it's going to get soft, which is fine. You can have it soft. It gives it a lot more flavor, but I'm going to save it to the end. So now what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, or whoever's watching, we're going to poach our eggs right in the sauce. And the reason why I do this is one, I'm too lazy. I don't want to bring another thing of water to boil and do it on the side. It's perfectly good to poach it right in here. And sometimes I poach the eggs right in the grits. I haven't seen anybody else do that, but I started doing that many years ago because I didn't want to cook them separate. I just threw the eggs in, let them boil up a little bit more, put the lid on, and let it sit. But it's hard to get a perfectly poached egg inside the grits because it's usually overcooks. But I don't mind that because then it's just like an egg chopped up into the grits. Thin this down just a hint, and I always do things very slow. Don't overdo it, just start slow. And the reason why I'm putting a little extra water in it is because I'm going to poach these eggs, and I'm going to show you how I poach eggs. Now, here's a little trick people don't know about, but I know it. And there's a method to poaching eggs. When I put my egg into this, I'm going to strain out some of the looser outer edges of the egg white because that's what makes it run apart. And I have to get this just at a simmer. And it doesn't, if I simmer it too much, I got this electric stove, I keep talking about it, but it's not regulated. It's cold, hot, and it drives me bananas when I'm trying to cook. So I have it on low, but it is not quite right yet. So let me let that cook up a little bit. We're almost there. Okay, so there's a teeny bit of bubble in this, and here we go. So these eggs are pasture raised. They're from the farmer's market this weekend. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop this egg. Whoa, see? Too hot. Oh my word. Driving me crazy. See, I'm letting all that part run out. There we go. Now watch, I'm gonna put that in. There we go. I'm gonna do 2 eggs. One for each of us. Chloe, you want 1 or 2?
1, please.
1 for me, 1 for her. And you see how I'm going to drain off this extra runny part? See all that runny part? Not good. It's perfectly good to eat, but when you're poaching, you do not need to use all that because that's what makes the egg not stay together. It kind of gets runny everywhere. I learned this. You know where I learned this from? YouTube. Because I was having trouble a number of years ago with my poached eggs. And they were good and perfectly cooked, but they would spread apart. And this is what they said to do. Looky there at that. Oh my word. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to let those poach. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to put a lid.
I said Gigi and George have a lot of food in their pantry. Look
And that's our
all of this food.
See, these eggs are poaching right in the sauce. I'm going to put a lid on that, let that go. I'm going to clean this up. We'll be ready to plate up in a moment, and then we're going to turn this sauce into a whole new dish because I prepped it yesterday and you're going to like it. So it's Southern Comfort Breakfast, and at the end, we have a new dish that's going to be made out of that.
I'm pregnant, obviously, so sometimes I just need to sit down for a second. So that's what I'm doing. Just sitting down. Oh, just like take a rest. I am excited to eat this though. Let's get back to the poached eggs. I gotta get up.
Almost poached, not quite, but it's getting there. So here we are. We've poached the eggs in the tomato bacon gravy. We have our cheese grits, our fresh biscuits, and then we have the toppings that make it even better. So here we go. This has been sitting one nice and creamy. I'm going to give myself a little bit smaller portion because I'm trying not to eat too much. There's the grits. I'm going to give Chloe more because she can eat more. Here we go. I'm going to take the poached egg. And here it is. Beautiful poached egg. And 1 poached egg here for me. They might not be perfectly runny. It's a little challenging to poach in the gravy because it's not boiling water, but it sure is nice to do. We're going to top it with the crunchy ham. Here we go. Nice and yummy. A little sprinkle of extra pepper, because you know Miss Susan likes her pepper. A little bit of the Maldon salt just to give it extra flavor. Now, we can eat this just as it is, but I'm going to show you something else that you can do, and this is in honor of my sister Beverly, who I made this for. Last year, I made wonderful fresh pesto from my garden yesterday. So now, if we want to turn this Southern Comfort breakfast, it's wonderful just as it is. You don't need to do anything else. But I'm going to top it with a little bit of pesto and ricotta cheese. So if you totally forget the grits, you can take the tomato bacon gravy and you can put it over pasta with ricotta and basil. And it is good, good, good. So you can take your Southern tasting tomato gravy and give it a twist with a little bit of fresh pesto and ricotta. So here I go with that. Somebody's been digging into my pesto. Oh my word, I know who did that. So this was right from my garden yesterday. Delicious garden fresh pesto. And I'm gonna put a little dollop on the side that we can dip into. So I've now turned our traditional Southern Comfort breakfast into something Italian. Now, you can stop. You do not have to do this. It's just something I did a year or so ago at my sister's, because I like to reuse things. And I go, oh, we have this, let's do this. And she has talked about it ever since. Hey, Bev, how you doing, honey? So I'm going to take that. Give a little dollop here. Sorry about my finger. I love this. I love ricotta, especially in Italy. Here we go. Now, doesn't that look absolutely delicious? I might butter my biscuit, but I think it's going to be okay without any extra butter. And I'm going to give us a little bit more sauce, even though I'm on a screen here. Chloe needs more sauce. A little bit more. And look at that. Here is our Southern Comfort breakfast with biscuits from Four Oaks Farm, poached eggs poached right in the tomato gravy, topped with like a crispy bacon ham topping. And then to twist it off a little bit more, I put fresh homemade pesto from my garden and ricotta. And my Southern mother from South Carolina would say, it's enough to make your tongue slap your brains out. And I think it is too. You can make this at home. It's not hard. Just follow what we were talking about. It's easy. And if you want the exact ingredients, you can order them from fouroaksfarms.com. And I've dedicated this video to Francie, who sent me the ingredients out of the blue and sent me a gift, and to my Southern mother, Jenny. See you in heaven, Jenny. I sure do love you. Now we're going to eat.
This looks so good.
My sister loved this so much. Wow.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
Thank you all. Yummy. Wow, biscuits are good too. I'm gonna go get some more sauce because I like a lot of sauce.
It has really good flavors to it, from the crisp, the freshness from the tomatoes, the acidity, the creaminess from the grits.
The egg, the pesto, the ricotta, yummy. So you could take this ricotta and the pesto and the tomato bacon and make that and pour it over linguine or angel hair pasta, or you could even put it over some meat if you wanted to, but it'd be very, very good over pasta. It'd be wonderful.
And even the pesto with the biscuit. It's so good. Well, we really hope you enjoyed our first cooking video. We've never done anything like this before, so it's a learning curve. And you know, we're not experts, but maybe one day we will be. So if you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel, Chloe Simone Says. Follow me on Instagram, Chloe Simone Says, and go to our website, shopgraceandjoy.com.
I will say this. We're not so much expert on filming, but we are really expert at cooking. And 45 years I cooked, and I'm happy to do this show because it was a lot of fun. It was a dream come true to be able to cook on video with people to watch. So thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Maybe our next cooking video will feature backyard turkey. Oh, it's running away. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. You see them? We got, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turkeys. Y'all, I am just kidding. I would never eat a turkey from someone's backyard. I mean, maybe I would if I was really hungry, but actually I've heard that wild turkeys are not good to eat. They're really tough. So just kidding.